Company.
God, the show is always hobbled in some way. Mentally with Ari around.
I was doing some
physically with Adam around.
Sure.
You're in a bubble, so get out of the bubble. Talk to real people.
There's no less healthy show in the country.
It's time for Cofield and Company with Steve Cofield on ESPN Las Vegas.
Football. A lot of football coming up this hour. We're going to try to track down Anthony Becht, who's a friend of the show, played in the NFL, worked in media around the Jets, is now an XFL coach in St. Louis. Adam Hill is here. He's the company. Ari, Steve Cofield, Finley Toyota Studios. We were just talking about Hard Knocks debuting tonight, and I forgot all about it, and now I'm very excited. I'm definitely writing on the tease board, so I remember. I'm definitely going to ask Anthony Becht about watching Hard Knocks and if, like, old football players like it. Does it get the juices flowing? We had Ronnie Lott on yesterday in the 5 o'clock hour. I thought Ronnie was going to cry on multiple occasions. Like, he just talked about the Hall of Fame and just being around all the fellas. He sounded so happy. It was awesome. And the thing is, you know what's funny with you and I always talk about, I love Hard Knocks because I love the football mentality. I love the management of a football team. The practices and the instruction are direct, right? There is no freaking dancing around it.
Especially with Dan Campbell.
I'm excited to see that guy because he's the big galoot. Like, while I would like to play for cerebral guy, I want to really be coached by big galoot. And the funny thing is, you and I are at practices almost every day, and yet we watch Hard Knocks and we still are fired up. Like, the few times I've been out to the Raiders camp, like I loved watching Josh McDaniels. He freaking was like, I don't know what it was, 10 days ago. He just some drill, and Malcolm Kuntz didn't do something. Like, just fired up. Like, what the hell is going on here? Yesterday at UNLV practice, they end the practice. The D linemen all come over. They got a lot of big D linemen, right? These guys are all, 6 foot up to 6'4", 280 to 315. They're big fellas. And the D line coach comes over and he's like, all right, let's make a circle here. And they're getting ready to do burpees after practicing for like 2.5 hours. I'm like, oh. And Marcus Arroyo walked by and he was just like the biggest smile on his face. He loved it. Because coaches love adversity, right? They love, hey, if you didn't get the job done that day, we're doing burpees, right? Like, how awesome. I was telling you during the break, I lost my way during the interview with Miles Simmons, right? I kind of led into a question the way I didn't want to, and I'm hypercritical that way. And I think about it 40 minutes later, like, we need someone in here and go, what was that? How many times have you done an interview, Cofield? Burpee right now. I'm like, I'm tired. I can't do it. That would be awesome.
You gonna run it in this studio?
Bro,
not enough room.
I will come in tomorrow. I think this year is going to be the first year where I will come in tomorrow, because I always want Lotus for the month. Like, August should be football month, and we all get to yell at each other. Like, if things aren't done for football season, we're running it like a freaking coach, right? So tomorrow, I think I'm gonna bring in my own chalkboard and list everything that has been lagging for the last 5 months on the show and around the station.
Well,
and then every day, we're going to go back to the board. Why can't we do that?
Should.
And what happens every time I talk about Hard Knocks, I start hyperventilating because I get so worked up. I'm so ready for this.
I'm ready. I mean, I think the next 5 minutes out of me is going to be on the board for lacking. Because I think you might have seen my face when we came back. I just got devastated by a tweet, and I can't regain my...
You're going to have to.
I can't.
You got to focus, all right? Be a professional. Whatever the tweet was, it goes down at 5:24, okay?
I can't.
Please.
Can't do it.
Yes, you can.
It's on my screen still. I'm just looking. I'm staring at it.
That's it. Go do a lap. Go run around the building right now. When you come back, you can join the show. You got to focus. How many times have we talked about this? All right, Big 5 time.
Battle-Born Injury Lawyers presents the Big 5 at 5. Number 5.
So last night I'm checking out your paper. I don't even know how old the story was, but I'm looking at the RJ and I see a story about the Boring Company, right? Which I'm still very leery of. Have you gotten feedback on this? Because the latest report is, well, towards the end of this whole project, there is going to be a stop. This is the Elon Musk tunnels with what was supposed to be like big vehicles, and apparently, what does this vehicle hold?
It's like cars.
7?
It looks like a normal
5,
car.
right?
I think it's like a 4-person car.
Like, I don't get the system. Like, shouldn't it be capacity for like 20 plus people? So anyway,
That's what I thought.
they're planning on 55 stops, which I got to see this before I believe it. And then the big news was, hey, there's going to be a stop down by Allegiant.
Nice.
In sedans that hold 5 people.
They seem to be opening up the stops pretty quickly.
Like, I want this to work.
Me too.
I think it'll be for any you love public transportation.
Fantastic.
Anything that can reduce some traffic going to events down on the strip would be awesome.
Well, it's going to happen. When has Elon Musk ever committed to something that he didn't do?
Oh, wait. Okay. You were kidding.
Yes.
All right.
So clearly it's going to happen.
I saw they were very bullish. Michael Naft, who is the Clark County commissioner, down near his region is down near the stadium, and I believe south. So he was very bullish on making sure that the Boring Company can get all the way down to where that NBA arena might happen across from the premium outlet mall south.
How far down are these tunnels?
Do you really want to get into tunnel
Yes.
technology?
Yes, because
But I don't think you know anything about it. So
I
what kind of
don't.
conversation are we going to have?
no, because the hotels on the strip go very far below ground.
Okay.
So how far down are we going for this thing?
I don't know. Maybe we need to book a guest and get more enthusiastic
I don't
about
think anybody
this
actually knows.
thing.
They're just making the whole thing up.
55 stops.
Yeah.
With 5 passenger cars.
I've done. Have you done the videos where you ride along for like stop to stop?
No.
Down around like Resorts World and the
No.
convention center. It's cool.
Okay.
I enjoy it.
How are you Mr. Vegas and you've never been in the Boring tunnels?
I just haven't gone yet. It hasn't gone where I need to go yet.
You know who's been in the Boring tunnels?
Who?
Arash.
I did watch that video actually.
It's embarrassing on your part.
Hmm.
Do you want to get this mantle back at Mr. Vegas, Mr. Sports Vegas, Mr. Vegas Media, or not?
No, I already took Mr. Downtown LA from him and Mr. San Diego.
Mr. Down. How'd you do that, Mr. Downtown LA?
I stayed there enough, and I said, "You owe it. You owe it to me now." And he
So
agreed.
you guys traded?
Yeah, he said I could be downtown LA, but not all of LA.
That's not the best trade.
I love downtown LA.
You got ripped off in that
My
trade.
spot.
Number 4.
KD, Mr. Brooklyn, for how much longer?
Not very.
If I'm Joe Tsai, and so if you missed the story yesterday, it finally comes out. Kevin Durant, I guess, is okay playing with Kyrie Irving. You never know day to day with KD, especially if it's social media KD, because then he's very unpredictable. He's very sensitive. So now his latest demand is I'll stay around, but you got to get rid of the coach and the GM. And then Joe Tsai, who's a
I
billionaire.
think it's one or the other.
Oh, it's one or the other.
Yeah, I think he said he doesn't want the combination of them.
Okay.
He doesn't like how they work together.
I mean, this is pretty dangerous territory for a player, or is it? Hey, LeBron gets to decide what
Sure.
he wants. Hasn't always worked, though. When
No.
a player has too much of the GM duties, doesn't always work.
Isn't KD aloof enough? You just tell them they're gone. Like, no, that GM's gone, man.
You just don't have you just don't have Sean Marks come around the
won't even-
facility at all
He just won't even
for a
know.
year.
Even if he does, we're like, oh, didn't I play for you before? Yeah, KD. Like I don't know if you watched it. I watched the David Letterman show with Durant. It's the weirdest episode, and he's had some weird.
You're talking about
guests
the
on.
long form interview show?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He did like an hour with Kevin Durant.
Yes,
Was it good?
it's weird. First of all, Letterman is like begging to be his friend. That's weird. They played shuffleboard against each other.
Really?
They both got very competitive.
Okay.
But I really expected to kind of learn a lot about KD because that's what that interview show does. Like you really get to know the person. But KD's just out. Him and Marshawn may have been hanging out. The Marshawn that's in the mugshot may have been hanging out with KD. He was weird.
Okay.
So I don't know what was going on. And there were some weird moments in the interview. It just you
I'll have to check it out.
don't learn a lot about KD necessarily. But I just got the feeling that you could just I think he's very, very intelligent, but I also think he's kind of checked out in a lot of ways. Just tell him he's gone. Marks is gone. Just come play.
What are the Nets going to do?
I think you have to trade KD. I mean, if that's his demand, and you're not going to try to trick him,
That's your plan, is to either trick him first or trade him.
Watch the show. I think you'll think that you maybe can trick him.
Maybe I'll get it.
But if you are going to be this team, I think what Josiah is saying is, I'm not going to allow a player to have that much power. I don't think it's necessarily about him loving Marks or Nash that much. It's just more, I'm not going to allow this to happen. And if you want to take that stand, that's fine. But then you kind of have to trade him. He is the kind of guy that would just stop playing, right? If he really was unhappy.
Well, that's what I want to push it to. And, the Nets don't move him. And then just, hey, here's the ultimatum. You can play or you can't. Whatever. Don't play.
You can't have an asset that valuable as a business and not use it.
It's not like it's ever happened in the NBA before. They just went through it last year. Out of their control a bit with the COVID stuff and the vaccination with Kyrie. I'm not trading him for nothing.
No, I think you can still get a lot for him.
How about we all act like adults and all sit in a room and figure out what the problem is? How about that?
Well, it's Marks or Nash.
Can we do that? Can we have Nash, Marks, and Durant sit down and work this out? Everything can be worked out.
Maybe. I mean, he's at a point.
You just said he's not an ass. He's a smart guy. They can't get to him in a conversation or two. Come on.
I think tricking him might be the better way to go.
Let's just talk it out. I believe in that. Tricking him might be the way to go.
Number 3.
We were just talking about football practice, and you're on the Raiders. I'm at UNLV, and UNLV is, I think, 9 in. What are the Raiders in, like 12 days, whatever they are. There does come a point where you can see, like, it sucks here practicing. It's friggin' hot. If I were a player, I'd be super agitated. At some point, something's going to break out, and maybe it's a good thing. But what happened with the Raiders today? Was there a little dust up?
So they had a pass rush drill going on, and let's just say that for a certain second-year right tackle, things weren't going great.
Oh no!
Like Max Crosby was teaching some lessons to some certain second-year players that were picked in the first round last year.
Don't give out the inside information from the practice. No one will be able to figure out that second-year right tackle thing.
So it was getting pretty ugly, and he was kind of going on some other guys, and we know Max Crosby goes 1,000 miles an hour,
which by the way can really be annoying.
Of course, and that's why I'm pointing it out.
How much are the Raiders allowed to hit each other now on the lines?
Not that much, but they were going pretty good,
right?
In this drill, and you could see it was starting to ratchet up a little bit, and you could see okay, something might be coming. And Max Crosby went to the inside, and he lined up over Dylan Parham. Parham got some help, but he had a really good rep, like a really good rep against Max Crosby. And I was like, oh, look. And then I said, what? The rep's over. Like, why are they still going?
Oh, yeah?
Like, why is he still blocking him? And why is Crosby still trying to get to the quarterback? And then they just started throwing. Like, it was on. And within seconds, the entire team was, like, piled up on them in the middle. Yeah. It was great. It was a good little battle. And I said, you could see it coming a little bit.
What do you think the coaches thought of that?
I think they liked it, probably.
Yep.
Especially Parham, a rookie that's like, all right, let's go.
Taking on one of the heads of the team.
Yeah.
Of beast rusher on the outside. Let's go.
And I don't want to make it look like it was strictly like, hey, he's abusing Alex Leatherwood, second year tackle. I don't want to make it look like he was just abusing him, and that's why like the rest of the line stepped up for him. But I think it was part of it. And yeah, I think it got to a point where the offensive line was getting whooped, and they said, all right, enough of this. And I liked it. And I think they immediately broke it up and then started practicing again. And they were back at practice and they were going. So I think the coaches probably thought, all right, let's go. Let's keep going. And I thought the intensity certainly picked up a little bit for the rest of the practice.
Number 2.
When will it be announced that Brandon Parker is on IR?
Could be tomorrow.
Okay.
But we don't know.
Do you know what the injury is?
It sounds like it's a triceps, which if it's fully torn, he will be out for the year.
Okay.
I don't think they know that yet.
Right.
And so there was some speculation. So I'll just walk through because I know that there's people that follow certain people on social media.
Right.
And blogs
there's some bloggers and content creators who are allowed to jump the gun because you can be wrong in those positions. So 2 days ago, hey, Brandon Parker's going on IR, and then our guy Vinny on Raider Nation Radio 920 says, well, that's not true.
Well, and he didn't say.
I'm sorry. Parker has been put on IR. Vinny responded, "That's not true," which could mean he's just not on IR yet.
Correct. So my belief right now is that they are doing further testing. Like, and again, this is not from anybody necessarily, but I got the heads up, like I think a couple other reporters did, and I assumed some of the same people talked to some of the bloggers and the social media people and told us, "Hey, Parker's going on IR. He's out for the year." And I will say this right away. I have a pretty good relationship with Brandon Parker's agent. Texted him. Obviously texted some people in the organization.
Forgot that's right. You
Yeah.
do have a good relationship with that agent.
Texted some people in the organization, and they were saying like, "No, we don't know. We're still trying to figure some things out." And so the blog and the Twitter people put out right away, he's on IR. Factually, he is not on IR. There is an IR list released every day.
Right.
They've had 2 since this report came out. He has not been placed on IR. Is he hurt? Yes. He was hurt in the locker room Thursday. He was holding his arm. He clearly looked hurt. He left the game for a little bit, came back in. He looked hurt. So is he hurt? I believe yes. His arm is hurt. I don't think they fully understood the extent, and I don't think they're committed, and they don't have to be right now. Like, if they're still doing tests, if it's partially torn, he can miss 6 weeks. If it's fully torn, he's out of the year. So I think they're still trying to work through those things. So could he be placed on IR at some point? Absolutely. But he is not right now. And that was the report that was out there, that he has been placed on IR. That is not true.
Number 1.
Is Josh McDaniels exactly what you expected so far? Or is he different from what was reported? Because a lot of us had a negative impression of him from his failed stint in Bronco land. Before you answer, Chris Sims was talking about it on his podcast. Sims actually got to play around McDaniels, and early returns for him is that Josh has changed.
But I remember being there and that place being on culture shock. Whoa, the New England way and Josh are wearing our ass out. I remember at the end of the training camp, I mean, you don't ever hear coach